This is Radio Hereford FC, the home of the Bulls.
Hello and welcome back to the latest edition of the Bullscast with me, George Holloway. In this week's packed edition of the pod, we discuss Hereford's defeats to Chorley and Radcliffe over the weekend. Keith sits down with Bulls legend Rob Purdie to get his thoughts on the current Hereford squad. We hear from Paul Caddis on his side start to the new season and the latest transfer activity, and we also preview Saturday's home game against Alfreton. As always, I'm joined by Radio Hereford FC commentator Keith Hall. Let's get into it. Keith, good to see you. 2 defeats over 3 days for Hereford last weekend, starting with Chorley, and it was another early goal that the Bulls conceded just 5 minutes.
Yeah, real shame, wasn't it? Tried the 3-5-2 again. Didn't work out, I'm afraid. Mari Sterling-James didn't really look comfortable in that position, and that's where the goals pretty much came from, certainly the opener. And from there, it was, first 20 minutes. Once we changed to a 4-4-2 or something, damage had already been done.
Yeah, Adam Blakeman added a second 6 minutes later before Jack Sampson converted from the penalty spot after Tom Carr was brought down by Mitch Roberts.
Yeah, he seems to be singled out, but I think that's a little bit unfair to be completely thrown under the bus as the only player that was not on top of their game. Conceded the penalty, fair enough, but I just think there's a player there because I thought he was the unsung hero at Buxton. So we'll wait and see how things develop for him over the season.
As you referenced, Paul Caddis switched from a 5-3-2 to a 4-4-2, bringing Eno Ento and Lawson Diath on while moving Aaron Skinner to right back. And that seemed to stem the flow. Yeah,
it settled things down. We were more of a threat, as got a lot more possession. I think Chorley, obviously, extremely well organised, pretty much a settled side. Yes, they've lost a few of their stars players as well, but they came into it seemingly right up for it, right from the kickoff. Knocked Hereford back and, by 20 minutes has pretty much already won the game.
As I referenced Eno Ento coming on, and he scored the goal on 51 minutes, Keith, and he had a real impact.
Yeah, he does. He's, that first half an hour up at Spennymoor, which I keep referring to, he looked outstanding. And, I think, again, if he can get fit, which Paul Caddis has mentioned, he's probably not up to a 90-minute performance as yet. So we've got to make use of him when we can.
That gave Hereford a glimmer of hope, that goal, but the game was wrapped up on the hour when Sampson tapped in at the back post for his second. We still don't know whether he was in an offside position or not, but it stood, and that made it 4-1 to Chorley, who you have to say, Keith, played very well on the day.
They did, as I say, they looked on top of their game, well organised, marshalled, they're communicating well, lots of movement on and off the ball, and I think Andy Priest has finally got a side there that could do things this year.
Now, we were lucky enough to be joined by Bulls legend Rob Purdie at the Radio Hereford FC commentary position on Saturday, and Keith sat down with him to discuss the Chorley match, retirement, and his thoughts on the current Hereford squad.
Rob Purdie is here.
Hi Keith, how are you, mate?
I'm pretty good. I'm not happy with the scoreline. What do you make of it?
Chorley started really well, didn't they? Sharp lad on the left, number 7 in the
Hewitt was giving Sterling-James
player.
Run around, yeah.
We didn't really string 2 passes together till the first maybe 20-25 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can just see they're lacking. I know they're not training much, they've gone part-time properly now, haven't they? But you can just tell that no one really knows where the next person's going to be because they've got no game management as a team. They don't know when to flip it in behind, when to go to the striker, when to a simple pass. And that's just killing him. A lot's going up to Campbell, but everything's going straight at his head. If they'd just put a couple over the top of him, they'd drop off. Sterling's looked in flashes. Sometimes he'll do something really good, and then he wants to take a couple too many touches. Yeah. But
I think we've learned that he's not someone you can rely on as a wing back. He got away with it maybe at Buxton, but today against very, very experienced players, Buxton more of a youthful setup, shall we say, and he probably did enough. But today he was being exposed by Craig Hewitt.
You can tell he switches off. He's not a fullback, he's a wide man. And you can tell he switches off and his position isn't the best. And he's probably, he looks like he's probably a little bit more of a flair player, so it's not like his work rate can get him out of being in a bad position.
Yeah.
He wants the ball at his feet and he wants to run at them. He stands a little bit too far in for me. Right-sided centre-half's got the ball and he's 10 yards inside the pitch. If he came out that extra 15 yards, played right on the shoulder, I think he's in most days, especially down the hill. You get it right over the top.
And at the other end, you know Andy Williams' game inside out. Have we used him enough? Have we used him positively today?
I think all we've done is we've gone to Campbell's head. That's literally it. Even when he's got someone right up the back of him on the halfway line, we're still aiming at his head. Now, he's won his fair few headers, isn't he? But you just see that when it drops down and Willow can get a foot on the ball, he'll just bring people in. And that's the kind of like gives us the base then to work off. But the two centre forwards as well, they're so far apart.
Yeah.
I think because they wanted, is it Osborne, the number 7? They wanted him to break the line in between. But since they've gone 4-4-2, they've stayed so wide. So when we've got the ball in fullbacks, if Willow just pulls and get Campbell in, old school, just for 5 minutes, because then their defence will go 10 yards back. But everything's just at Campbell's head all the time. Which must come from Caddis. Willow could probably do with dropping in a little bit more and letting him push on a little bit so Willow can get on the ball.
Are you still keeping an eye on scores here, or are you still up to your neck in fire brigade work?
Yeah, getting cats from chimneys and people getting their heads stuck in benches. That was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I do. So Jacob, my little boy, came last week with his friend because we were at a wedding. Then I bought him again today.
Back.
He's come back last week. He's come back. He loves it. But yeah, so I always look for the results. Obviously, last season was the first real positive season for a good 6 years, I'd say, 6 or 7 years. So now this season, got to sneak in the playoffs.
Well, as I saw in the fanzine, the headline was playoff priority. Hereford need to show genuine progress.
Yeah.
Well, to progress from last season means you've got to get into the playoffs.
If we finish
anything
10
else
points outside,
anything else is you go backwards.
Exactly, yeah. And it's a big season for Caddis because Caddis, I mean, he comes from a long way. He's not going to want to be here if there's no progression for him or the team himself. You know, he could do what he's doing here somewhere closer to his house. So he's going to want to see that progression. He's going to get frustrated if he doesn't get given the money to do it, in his view, or if he doesn't get the players to do it. And like I say, for the last, 2.5 years now, it's a long way for him to come down for no success. So it's a big season for him and in his career.
So Mark was pointing out alongside me earlier in the game, Paul has a reputation of getting a few non-contract players, and if they're not up to it, he's ruthless, and they're on their way within 5 or 6 weeks to the start of the season. So I'm imagining, there will still be quite a bit of a transition, a bit of movement in and around the Hereford squad if these players are not doing what he wants them to do and they're not performing generally.
Yeah, which is what you need, isn't it? You go back to my last 3 years with Deeds. Someone will play on a Saturday and they're not here by Tuesday, and it would be the next person's coming in. Free up that money, get somebody else in.
It's a bit easier then because it was 7-day notice.
Yeah.
We can't do that in the National League North,
of course,
unless you're going well down the pyramid, and then that player maybe couldn't cope at National League North level. And
like what we've always done at Hereford, you get a couple of lads on loan, and if they work out, great, they can get you in the playoffs. If they don't work out, then unfortunately you fail on them.
It was a fourth defeat in 5 games for Hereford on Monday as they lost at Radcliffe. And it was Rick Smith's 17th minute strike from a corner that was their undoing, Keith.
Yeah, much better performance. Yeah, again, it was fairly early goal from that corner that came right through, and Rick Smith into the opposite corner of the net. There wasn't much between the teams at all, and I thought Hereford had a good second half display, if not necessarily getting the ball into the box enough in the first half. Remy Campbell had to go off, but he assures me that he's okay. I've spoken to him last night, funnily enough. He says it's no way is it a long-standing injury. It's just something that didn't feel was right at the time, so I had to come off. I thought, much better display in the second half. I thought Matt Richards has developed. We seem to have now got into a bit of a groove in that centre midfield role, which is good to see, and we've got to work, off him. Although I still think we're missing Gus Mafuta, who's going to probably be our enforcer this season, so we'll have to wait for that one.
And Amari Sterling-James' corner found the back of the net early in the second half, Keith, but the whistle had already blown for a foul. What did you make of that incident?
Well, I was at completely the other end of the ground because it's a poor commentary position at Radcliffe. You're right behind the goal at the other end, but the supporters that travelled, they were right in front of that. They assured me it was definitely a push and certainly shouldn't have been given as goal.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to test your eyesight again because Matt Preston went down inside the area holding his face. It was pretty late on in the game, Keith. Looking at the highlights, certainly it looked something of nothing. What did you think of what you could see?
Well, I look at the reaction of the players and there wasn't a vehement protest to the referee. It wasn't as though there were 6 or 7 Hereford players surrounding the referee saying that's an obvious penalty. So, have to give the officials the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that was 82 minutes, and unfortunately Hereford couldn't find an equaliser with the time remaining. Caddis's comments were interesting after the match, Keith, as well as after Chorley, I should say, on Saturday. He referenced moving players on, saying that he needs to act now, and we've already seen that with Chris Ray and Kai Williams departing yesterday.
Yeah, he said he's going to move a few out, so he's made his mind up. He needs to act now. Hopefully he's got the funds to go and change the momentum of the season, and, 2 non-contract players there that he was able to deal with straight away. They haven't looked fit. I remember Kai Williams at the very first open training session up at Pegasus, which he sat out, didn't get involved in it whatsoever. So there was a doubt from the word go, really. Similarly with Chris Ray, we saw 20 minutes, if that, at Old Church. So if things aren't going to get better this or through niggly injuries or whatever, they're not able to give Paul Caddis those options, then he needs to act, and he's done it straight away.
Well, let's hear from Paul Caddis then. Keith went along to Edgar Street this week to ask him about Hereford's start to the season and the latest outgoings.
Now at Edgar Street with Paul Caddis, not the best of starts, but you're aware of it and you're trying to put things right quickly.
Yeah, as I always try and do, Keith. I try and take responsibility. It's not been good enough for the first. It's not been good enough from pre-season, to be brutally honest. I don't think it's been the best preparation on and off the pitch. But my sole responsibility is on the pitch, and it's not been good enough at the moment. I've been quite ruthless previously. I'm not here to be popular or anything like that. I want to be successful, and we've had to try and move some players out just to try and manoeuvre some money in the budget to try and get some fresh bodies in.
Yeah, you always talked about non-contract players. If they're not working for you, it does give you that option. If you've given somebody a year or 2-year contract, you can't do that. You've got more flexibility to come yet, or are you restrained by those two?
Well, those two are a start. I don't want to. Well, I do. It's a warning sign to the rest of the players that we're willing to do it. Can't get too comfortable because we play at a brilliant stadium in front of brilliant supporters. So if you don't buck your ideas up, then we will move people out to try and get fresh faces in, and it's exactly what we've done. We wish Chris and Kai all the very best, but we're looking at other options.
It seemed to be fitness levels as well. Do you feel that pre-season hampered you a little bit coming into the season? It seemed almost as though the first few games, it could even have been a pre-season match, if that makes sense.
Well, Kai and Chris, Kai both suffered with injuries in pre-season. Kai, I don't think, completed a week in total, just with little niggling injuries. Chris we didn't bring in until after pre-season, hadn't done a pre-season, which is a risk, and it's proved that I got them wrong. There's no two ways about it. If I got everyone right, then I'd be an absolute hero and a messiah. But I'm absolutely not. I'm far from it. So I'm not egoistic. I don't hide behind an ego to think that I get everything right. I got it wrong. I've admitted to it, and I'm trying to change it.
How difficult is it going to be now to bring those fresh faces in? Are you looking, because up until now you've tended to look for lower division players to come in? Is it going to be slightly more options because league players or National League players who've not been playing in their respective clubs, they might be looking for game time?
Hopefully, listen, to get better, it's not mad science. You've got to recruit from above. It's been really difficult to do that. We've had to recruit from below more often than not, as you touched on. The only time you can really get from above with what we are as a football club's normally on loan. So we've sent the messages out. Everyone's aware of what we're looking for and the type of character we're looking for, and we're just waiting to hear back from quite a few different sources and all the rest of it, and a few contacts, and there's a few options there. But listen, if I went to sign a player and I was the only person interested, then it's probably a warning sign. So you're up against every other club, and we'll do our very best to get the best available.
I mean, are there players that you've missed out on that might now be sort of re-engaged?
There's a lot we've missed out on that have now got clubs, but there's still a few out there that. What will happen is, Keith, that the players will wait until the transfer window closes because it then becomes they're almost in a market on their own because EFL clubs can't spend outside that. So they'll wait on that. They'll obviously wait on full time because that's probably what most of them have been, and then we will try and.
What date is that? 31st of August or something?
Well, whatever the transfer window shuts, 31st August or sometimes the 1st or 2nd of September. So once that's over, then they become available. But to be honest, we want to try and get things right as quickly as we possibly can. So we'll look at loan options, we'll look at non-contract players, we'll look at permanent players, we'll look at absolutely everything all over the markets.
How much pressure do you feel you've been under because of the situation that the results have not gone your way? Are you feeling that pressure, or are you just getting on with it?
I don't, to be honest, and that I don't want that to sound smug. I don't want to go too personal. I've got a daughter who saves her life every single day. She's got type 1 diabetes, so for me, I see pressure every single day. So that probably helps without that sounding too downbeat on my own daughter. But I see that every day. So coming to work, I love managing here. I love trying my very best. I love the responsibility. Pressure's part of it. I don't have social media. I don't see it all. I do know there's been a lot of criticism because I started receiving messages on Saturday night from people that are in the game that have just told me to keep my head up and stuff like that. And obviously my natural reply was, what's made you message? And obviously there's a lot of stuff online. But listen, it's part of the job. It absolutely is. And amongst all the negativity, and which I totally understand, by the way, I absolutely get it. We haven't been good enough, but I've tried to take the people inside the club as well. Looking at it positively is probably not the right word, but there's a negativity there because we've built up an expectation. We've competed the last 2 years, which the club haven't done before, so it's now up to us to live with that expectation and go and try and better it. So, and amongst the negativity, it's trying to stay positive as well. I might not seem calm on the side of the pitch because I'm a bit of a jack in the box, but I'm quite calm behind the scenes in terms of I won't rush in to go and get as many players as I possibly can. I want to try and get the right players. It's important that I'm the leader of the group, so I have to stay calm. If I show any signs of pressure or worry or anything like that, it spreads and it's vicious when it does. So yeah, it's not been great. I absolutely get that, but at the same time we're realistic. We know what we need to do, and we just need to get a couple of wins.
And you've touched on it there with progress. I mean, most of the supporters will look at it and say, yeah, you started sort of 11th the first season, 10th, and it could easily have been 7th in the playoffs. So progress has got to be a playoffs. Do you feel that?
Well, naturally, yeah. Progress is naturally, you've got to finish better than what you did the previous year. We were so close. First year on 69 points with the club total points record in the division, and then we beat it again, and somehow we didn't make the playoffs, but that was the make-up of the league, and that's what we've got to deal with. So natural progress is getting better, and it's got to start on Saturday by getting a win and trying to build a bit of momentum.
Yeah, you've got 2 back-to-back home games. Hasn't been a great start here, but you know as well as I do that it can turn very, very quickly. It
can, but I think the turning point last year was Radcliffe away. We lost up there and we made a few changes and then went on. I think we won 8 of the next 10 games, so we know that it's probably been magnified more that it came at the start of the season as well. If we had a decent start and then went on a little bit of a poor run, or a big bit if you want to look at it that way, but we've got to remain calm. It's important that the boys that don't feel over pressurised and this doesn't become a dangerous place for them to play, which it won't be, because supporters have been brilliant for us. They've rightly been. I think they booed us at half time the Kings Lynn game, and wrongfully or rightfully, then everyone's got entitled to their opinion, but it's just important that we go and try and win games of football. And as you said there at the top of the question, it can swing so easily. Once you go and win 1 or 2 games of football, then the momentum starts to twist, and as you know, Keith, you've covered this league for a long time. It's a mental league, and things can change so quickly.
And it's important the young players like Ilani Edwards and Eno Ento, they've obviously got a good technical ability. They just need to get A, used to their colleagues and B, used to the league.
Absolutely they do, yeah, and sometimes that freshness of Alani and Ento, who haven't experienced senior men's football, it's almost like they go out without fear, because they probably don't kind of recognise how difficult the division is, or how much pressure's here, or whatever it is, whereas you've got more experienced players that recognise that have played in the league for a long time, so understand the demands. So having that freedom sometimes helps, and those two in particular have been a positive start for us.
Well, good luck to turn it round.
Thank you.
The thoughts there of Paul Caddis. And don't forget, you can also listen to an exclusive interview with Hereford skipper Lewis Hudson on our Spotify and Apple podcast pages right now. Turning our focus back to recruitment then, Keith, which areas of the squad do you think need improving most?
Well, you need to get the ball in the box a lot more frequently, and they need to have somebody there to get on the end of it. Sounds absolutely straightforward, but that's what you need to do. I think Romain Campbell, who has played really well on his own, he is a wholehearted player and he'll give you everything he's got, but he does need somebody to work alongside him, whether that's Andy Williams on a long-term basis at the age of 39. It's a difficult one to work with. I think Andy Williams has still got a lot to offer the club. Whether he's an impact player, as we saw quite a number of times last season, his goals to minute ratio is extremely good. So that might help going forward. But you definitely need a midfield enforcer to get that ball and get a foot in the centre. And we need to organise a little bit better at the back, get a better understanding again. So hopefully with Skinner, Hudson, Preston and Hankins in tandem, the understanding that was there for most of the last season, they can get back to that sort of solid defence and work from there. It's too many goals conceded, especially from set pieces, so that needs to be worked on. Set pieces of our own. I'd like to see a few free kick routines, which is difficult if you're only going to have players for 4 or 5 hours a week. But you're going to have to target specifics and go from there.
Organisation set pieces you'd think are going to be key this Saturday with Alfreton visiting Edgar Street. Billy Heath's side picked up their first win against Marine on Monday. They were probably hoping for a slightly better start to the season, but they're always dangerous, Keith, particularly with the style of play that they employ.
Teams are always obdurate, stubborn, organised, physical, uncompromising, hard, determined, however many words you want to use. That's the Billy Heath style, that characteristic of the manager himself, really. And he usually gets things sorted at some stage. It's not great on the eye. I'm not sure I'd like to be an Alfreton season ticket holder, but he gets results. And it's, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, getting your team in line. And Hereford need to find a way, similarly, to get back into that top 10 bracket, because they're off it at the minute, and Paul Caddis knows that he wants to criticise. If he does, it'll be collectively. As he said, what's said in the dressing room stays in the dressing room, and he'll work tremendously hard to put it right.
Where do you see the game being decided on Saturday?
It'll probably be very close. I mean, you look at the matches at Edgar Street between these two clubs, the last 4, Hereford have won 1, drawn 2 and lost 1. Scoring 6, and Alfreton have scored 5. We've had a 0-0 draw last season at the Impact Arena, a 0-0 draw at Edgar Street back in 2023. But at the flip side, there was a 3-3 draw back in 2024 when Cowley, Babos and Skinner scored goals. So the way Hereford have been set up, you don't imagine there's going to be a lot of goals in the game, but things can flick, almost a switch, and things can work for you. But I think confidence will flow once they get that first sort of obvious, I wouldn't say win, but if they're 2-0 up or something like that, then their confidence will flow a little bit more, I'm sure.
And Caddis mentioned about hopefully getting some new signings in before Saturday.
He's hopeful, and he rather than looking at Southern League Premier Division Central, or that sort of level, which has been happening quite a number of times, I think he's now looking at the players that might become available because the transfer window in the EFL closes. So there'll be a number of players who are still thinking they're going to play for Manchester United, and they just won't. It just doesn't happen. And they'll have to look with a bit more sense as to where they're going to be playing and play on a regular basis.
Before we go, let's take a look at the National League North results from Monday. And Hereford's upcoming opponents, Alfreton, beat Marine by 2-0. It finished Bedford Town 1, South Shields 2. Buxton 2, Curzon Ashton 3. Chester beat Oxford by 2-1. Finished Chorley 4, King's Lynn 0. Darlington 2, Telford United 2. Kidderminster 3, Leamington 2. Riley Reynolds scoring a 97th minute winner in that game. Merthyr 1, Scarborough 3. Peterborough Sports 0, Worksop 1. Southport 2, Fylde 3. And Spennymoor and Macclesfield finished 0-0. What does that all mean for the league table then? Well, South Shields are still top with a 100% record on 15 points. Chorley are just behind them on 13, while Fylde are one place further behind with 12 points. Hereford are down in 23rd with 1 win, while Peterborough Sports are propping up the table with 1 point. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of the Bullscast. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify so you never miss an episode. We'll be back next week to discuss all of the latest action from Hereford FC. Until then, it's bye for now.
This is Radio Hereford FC, the home of the Bulls.